Hello dreamers, tonight's story follows a child who steps through a snow globe door into the snow wild, a realm where snowflakes chime like bells and a fox with a starry collar guides them on a quest to mend the frost heart and save winter itself. So snuggle deep under your blankets, let the whispers of falling snow carry you away, and drift into a world where every flake holds a secret. I woke to a soft blue glow. Not the warm yellow pool from my night lamp shaped like a smiling moon, but something colder, brighter. It seeped through the cracks in my curtains like liquid starlight. I rubbed sleep from my eyes, the cotton sheets whispering against my skin. Outside my frost-rimmed window, snowflakes swirled, not the sleepy flakes that piled on sleds or melted on hot cocoa mugs, but tiny, luminous shapes that chimed like glass bells when they kissed the ground. Ting ting ting. I pressed my nose against the icy glass. The world had transformed. Our old oak tree wore a crown of ice crystals that glittered like crushed diamonds. The snowdrifts beneath my window pulsed with a gentle inner light, as if the earth itself was breathing frost. "Mama?" I whispered into the quiet dark. Her bedroom door was shut tight, a sliver of darkness beneath it. The clock on my wall, shaped like a friendly owl, blinked 2:17 a.m. in green numbers. Everyone was asleep. Everyone except me. And the snow? I slipped from bed, my toes curling against the cold wooden floorboards. My quilt, patched with squares from Papa's old flannel shirts, whispered as it slid down. My fluffy rabbit slippers waited patiently by the door, ears drooping. I tucked them on, then pulled my thickest sweater over my pajamas, blue with tiny white stars, and wrapped Grandma's red woolen scarf around my neck. It still held the scent of her kitchen. Cinnamon rolls, pine needles from the tree in the corner, and the faintest hint of peppermint tea. At the front door, I paused. The rules were clear. No going outside alone after dark. But this wasn't ordinary dark. This was magic dark. The kind that hummed in your bones like a lullaby you'd almost forgotten. I turned the brass knob slowly, holding my breath against the familiar creak. The cold rushed in, sharp and clean, carrying the scent of frozen rivers and distant mountains dusted with sugar. My breath puffed out in white clouds as I stepped onto the porch. The snowflakes didn't melt when they landed on my scarf. Instead, they clung there, glowing faintly, as if they'd been waiting for me all night. The ting-ting-ting grew louder, weaving a melody that tugged at my heart. "Hello?" My voice sounded small against the vast, quiet night, barely louder than the settling snow. Silence. Just the chiming snowflakes and the wind sighing through the bare branches of the oak tree. Then, a flicker of movement near its trunk. A shadow darted behind the thick bark. My heart thumped against my ribs like a tiny drum. "Who's there?" Two eyes gleamed in the darkness. Not scary eyes. Bright, curious ones, the color of winter twilight just before dawn. Slowly, a creature stepped forward. It was a fox, but not like the ones in my storybooks. Its fur shimmered like fresh snow under moonlight, each strand holding a trapped star. Its tail left a trail of glittering paw prints that faded slowly, like dying fireflies. Around its neck hung a tiny pendant shaped like a frozen star, pulsing with a soft blue light. "You can see me," it said. Its voice was soft, like snow settling on branches after a storm. I gasped, my mittened hands flying to my mouth. "You can talk." The fox tilted its head, a strand of starlight catching in its ear. "Only to those who listen to the snow's song," it replied. "My name is Lumi." And you, child, are standing in the doorway between worlds. Between worlds? I shivered, pulling Grandma's scarf tighter. The cold didn't bite, it wrapped around me like a cool, silvery blanket. Lumi patted closer, its paws making no sound on the snow. This is the night of whispers. Once every 100 years, when the stars align just so, the veil between your world and the snow wild, the realm of winter spirits, grows as thin as a spider's web. You've been called. Called? By who? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The snow knows, Lumi said simply. It nudged a glowing snowflake toward me with its nose. The flake floated gently, chiming softly as it landed on my mitten. It needs your help. The frost heart, the crystal that holds winter's magic, is fading. Without it, the snow wild will vanish. And your winters, they will grow thin and forgetful. I looked back at my little house. Warm yellow light glowed behind the curtains, but the windows were fogged over, as if the world inside had fallen into a deep, frozen sleep. Snowflakes drifted past the glass like slow-motion fireflies. What if I'm gone too long? I whispered. Mama will worry. Luma's ears twitched. Time moves differently in the snow wild. A night here is but a breath there. Your mama will tuck you in tonight and wake you for breakfast tomorrow, with only a dream to mark your journey. It turned and began walking toward the woods at the edge of our yard. Its paw prints glowed faintly, lighting a path through the trees like stepping stones of moonlight. Come. The Snow Queen's palace is crumbling, and without it, the seasons will unravel. Spring will arrive too soon, autumn will lose its colors, and summer's heat will scorch the earth. Winter holds them all in balance. I hesitated. The woods at night were forbidden. Papa said owls nested there, and sometimes coyotes called to the moon. But the glowing footprints pulsed like safe harbor lights, and Luma's voice had a melody that tugged deep in my chest, like the pull of the tide. I took a step off the porch. Then another. The cold air kissed my cheeks, and the snow crunched softly under my boots, a familiar sound made magical. Behind me, my footprints vanished as soon as I made them, erased by a gentle swirl of wind. It felt like the night itself was keeping my secret. Chapter 2. The rules of the snow wild. Lumi led me beneath the first arch of pine trees. Their branches, heavy with snow, formed a cathedral ceiling glittering with ice crystals. The air smelled different here, cleaner, sharper, like biting into a frozen apple. Tiny blue lights flickered deep within the woods, like fireflies made of frost. Wait, Lumi said, stopping so suddenly I nearly bumped into its fluffy tail. It turned, its star pendant catching the light. Before we go deeper, you must know the rules of the snow wild. They keep travelers safe. I nodded, pulling my scarf over my nose. My breath fogged the wool. First, Lumi said, raising a paw. Never refuse a gift offered by the snow. A pine cone, a feather, a shard of ice, it may seem small, but it holds magic. To refuse it is to insult the spirit who gave it. Okay, I whispered. I won't refuse. Second, Lumi continued, its voice dropping. Never speak your full name to a shadow. Names hold power here. A shadow might borrow it and wear it like a coat, pretending to be you. I clutched my scarf tighter. What if I forget? Call yourself child of warmth or listener. The true shadows cannot mimic those. Luma's tail flicked. Third, if you hear singing on the wind, Follow it only if the song makes your heart feel light. Dark spirits hum broken tunes to lead travelers astray. And fourth? I asked. Luma's eyes softened. Fourth. Remember home. Not just the house or the people, but the feeling of home. The smell of bread baking. The weight of a quilt on a cold night. The sound of laughter. That warmth is your anchor. Without it, the snow wild's beauty could make you forget why you came. I thought of Mama's singing as she stirred pancake batter on Sunday mornings, the way the steam would curl around her like a warm hug. I held that feeling close. You'll remember. Lumi bowed its head, a gesture so graceful it made my chest ache. You carry a kind heart. That is your truest lantern here. We walked deeper. Snow-laden branches brushed my shoulders, shedding diamond dust. Something small and furry scampered up a pine tree, shaking loose a shower of glitter that chimed as it fell. Far off, I heard a sound like wind chimes made of icicles, clear, high notes dancing on the breeze. Is that the singing? I asked. Luma's ears pricked forward. No. That is the voice of the valley. It sings the mountains to sleep. It stopped at a fork in the path. One trail wound upward, steep and shadowed. The other curved gently through a grove of silver-barked trees. We take the low road tonight. The high path belongs to the wind weavers, and they are restless. Why? Because the frost heart weakens, Lumi said, leading me onto the gentler path. When winter falters, all its children grow uneasy. Even the winds. The silver trees hummed faintly as we passed. Their trunks were smooth as glass, reflecting the starlight. Tiny faces seemed to form in the bark, sleeping eyes, smiling mouths, before melting back into the wood. Who are they? I whispered. The dreaming trees, Lumi replied. They hold the memories of every snowfall that ever was. Touch one gently, and you might feel a winter from long ago. I reached out, my mitten hovering over the cool bark. May I? Lumi nodded. A gentle touch only. They are light sleepers. I pressed my palm flat against the bark. It felt like cool silk. Suddenly, warmth spread up my arm, a memory not my own. I saw a girl in a red coat building a lopsided snowman. I heard the crunch of boots on fresh powder, the distant laughter of children. I smelled wood smoke from a chimney. Then, like melting ice, the feeling faded. The tree's bark smoothed back to silver. Did you feel it? Lumi asked. I nodded, tears pricking my eyes. It was happy. Good, Lumi said. That memory is a promise. Winter remembers joy. We must help it remember again. Chapter 3. The pond of starlight and the ice library. The path opened into a clearing bathed in pure starlight. At its center lay a frozen pond, its surface so smooth it reflected the sky like a dark mirror. Dozens of snowflakes danced above it, swirling in a slow, silent waltz. Their light cast shifting patterns on the snow around the pond's edge. Why are we stopping? I asked, my breath puffing white in the cold. Lumi sat on its haunches, its star pendant glowing brighter. This is the pond of starlight. It is a doorway to Elder Glacia's library. But it must be opened with a song only a human heart can sing. A song? I swallowed. I don't know any snow songs. You do, Lumi said firmly. Listen deeper than your ears. Listen with your bones. I closed my eyes. At first, there was only the wind sighing through the pines and the distant chime of snowflakes. Then, beneath it all, a faint humming rose, a melody woven from the ting-ting-ting of falling snow and the crackle of ice. It wasn't in the air. It was inside me, a vibration in my ribs, my throat, my heartbeat. My lips parted, and without thinking, I sang. Snowfall soft and silver bright, wrap the world in quiet light. Open now this frozen door, let me step where spirits soar. The moment the last note faded, the pond's surface rippled. The ice cracked, not with a violent snap, but with a musical chime like 1,000 tiny bells. A staircase of pure light spiraled downward into the water, each step glowing like solidified moonlight. The air above the stairs shimmered with cold, sweet mist that smelled of peppermint and old paper. Lumi bounded forward. Quickly. The door won't stay open long. Step only on the light. The water between the stairs is deeper than any ocean. I hesitated at the edge. The water didn't look wet. It looked like liquid stardust, swirling with colors I'd never seen, colors that had no names. What's down there? The heart of the snow wild, Lumi said. And our first ally. Trust the light. Taking a deep breath, I stepped onto the first stair. It held firm, cool and solid beneath my boots. The light cradled my feet like a hammock woven from starbeams. Down we went, deeper than the pond should have allowed, past schools of tiny, glowing fish that darted like silver needles. The air grew warmer, carrying the scent of peppermint and old books. At the bottom, the stairs ended at an archway carved from a single block of ice. Words shimmered above it in frost. The Library of Glacia. Inside, the cavernous hall stole my breath. Walls of ice stretched endlessly upward, carved with swirling patterns of wolves, owls, and trees that seemed to shift when I looked away. Shelves made of frozen crystal held books bound in frost, their pages fluttering faintly like moth wings. A chandelier of icicles dripped soft blue light, casting dancing shadows. In the center of the room, a massive desk held an open book taller than I was. Behind it sat a figure wrapped in robes of woven snowflakes. Its face was hidden beneath a deep hood, but its hands, long, delicate, and shimmering like crushed glass, turned a page with a sound like rustling wings. Ah, it said, without looking up. Its voice was ancient, yet kind as a grandmother's hand. The child who sings to snowflakes. And Lumi, ever the wanderer. The hood lifted slightly. Beneath it glowed eyes like twin moons. You've come about the Queen's sorrow. Lumi bowed low. The frost heart dims, Elder Glacia. The palace cracks spread like spiderwebs. Without its light, the snow wild will fade, and the seasons will unravel. Glacia closed the book with a sigh. The cover read the 1,000 winters in letters of frost. I know. I feel its weakness in my bones. The frost heart cannot be mended by magic alone. It requires 3 things. A feather from the sky singer who nests atop Glass Peak Mountain, a tear from the stone guardian who dwells behind the upward waterfall, and a memory of warmth from a human heart. The moon-pale eyes fixed on me. You, child, carry that warmth. It is rare. Precious. Like sunlight on new snow. I do? My voice squeaked. You sang to the pond, Glacia said. You listened when the snow called. Your heart remembers summers and hearts and honey dripping from a spoon. That is the rarest magic of all. It slid a crystal key across the desk. The key shaped like a snowflake. The sky singer's mountain is guarded by the wind weavers. They fear change. They fear the frost heart failing. They will test you. Lumi took the key in its teeth, its fur bristling slightly. We'll find a way. Glacia's robes shimmered as it stood, towering over us. The path is perilous. Ice bridges may shatter. Shadows may whisper doubts. Are you certain, little one? You may return home now. The snow will sing you to sleep, and you'll wake with only a dream. I thought of my warm bed, Mama's sleepy smile at breakfast, the way the world looked when it snowed, soft and hushed, like the world was holding its breath. Then I thought of the melting palace, the seasons fraying like old thread. I thought of spring arriving in December, of snowdrops withering before they bloomed. I'm sure, I said, my voice stronger this time. Winter matters. Glacia's moon eyes softened. Then take this. It plucked a small, frost-covered book from a nearby shelf. A guide. It will show you the way when paths blur. But remember, the true map is here. It tapped its chest. In your heart. Chapter 4. The Valley of Whispering Rabbits. Leaving the library felt like stepping from a warm room into a snowstorm. The cold bit sharper now, and the wind carried a lonely howl. Lumi led me along a path lined with ice sculptures, deer frozen mid-leap, birds with wings outstretched. Their eyes were polished moonstones that seemed to follow us. The weavers grow bold, Lumi murmured, its star pendant dimming. Their unease stains the air. As if summoned, a gust of wind tore down the slope, carrying voices that hissed like steam on hot stones. Turn back, small hearts. The mountain is ours. No human tread here, no fox with starry fur. I clutched Luma's tail. They're coming. Not yet, Lumi said firmly. But we must find shelter before night deepens. The Valley of Whispering Rabbits is near. They will hide us. We ducked beneath an arch of icicles, their points sharp as teeth. On the other side, the world changed. The harsh wind died. Gentle slopes rolled before us, covered in snow so fine it looked like powdered sugar. Tiny footprints crisscrossed the drifts, and soft, chattering sounds filled the air, like pebbles clicking together, but warm and friendly. These are snow rabbits, Lumi explained. They are born from the first snowfall of winter and fade with the last. They remember everything. A small rabbit made of packed snow hopped toward us. Its eyes were smooth river stones, dark and wise. It wore a tiny hat woven from frost feathers. Lumi. It squeaked. You bring the warm one. More rabbits emerged, dozens of them, their button noses twitching, their whiskers made of spun ice. They circled us, chattering softly. This is Thistle, Lumi said. She leads the valley. Thistle bowed. The snow sings of your quest. But the weavers hunt near Glass Peak. You must rest here. Eat. Gather strength. She nudged a mound of snow with her nose. It crumbled to reveal a hollow lined with soft, dry moss and glowing blueberries. Sit. The berries hold starlight. They will warm you without heat. I sank onto the moss. It felt like a cloud. Thistle offered a berry on a leaf of ice. I popped it in my mouth. It burst with cool sweetness, like mint and moonlight, and a wave of calm spread through me. My shivering stopped. Why do the wind weavers fear the frost heart failing? I asked, chewing another berry. Thistle settled beside me, her stone eyes thoughtful. They are children of chaos. They love storms, the wild dance of blizzards. But the frost heart is order. It makes snow gentle for children, ice strong for skating. Without it, winter would be only rage, no quiet mornings, no snowmen, no sledding hills. They fear losing that wildness, but they do not see the balance. She flicked an ear. Lumi knows balance. Lumi was speaking quietly with 3 elder rabbits near a frozen stream. Their whispers carried on the wind. The sky singer's feather is heavy with song. The stone guardian's tear holds ancient sorrow. I yawn, the starlight berries making my eyelids heavy. The valley hummed with a soft, sleepy sound, the rabbits grooming each other, the wind sighing through frost flowers. Thistle tucked a blanket of woven snowflakes over my legs. Sleep, warm one. The mountain will wait. Even heroes need rest. I drifted off, dreaming of ice castles and starlight rivers. When I woke, the sky was still dark, but lighter at the edges. Thistle pressed a small pouch into my hand. Starlight berries for your journey. And this. She placed a smooth, warm stone in my palm. It glowed faintly. A memory stone. If shadows whisper lies, hold it. It will remind you of home. Lumi nuzzled my cheek. Ready? I stood, the pouch heavy at my belt. Ready. Thistle and the rabbits formed a circle around us. They began to chant, their voices weaving a net of soft chimes and clicks. The air shimmered. Go safely, Thistle whispered. May the snow guide your feet. Chapter 5. The Bridge of Sighs and the Wind Weavers test the path to Glass Peak Mountain grew steeper, the air thinner. Ancient pines stood like frozen giants, their branches heavy with snow. Lumi moved silently ahead, its star pendant cutting through the gloom. My boots crunched on the snow, a steady rhythm that kept time with my heartbeat. After hours of climbing, we reached a chasm. On the other side, the jagged peak of Glass Peak Mountain pierced the sky, glittering like shattered quartz. Between us stretched a bridge, not of stone or wood, but of solidified wind and ice. It swayed gently, its edges blurred by mist. Frost patterns swirled across its surface, forming faces that sighed as we approached. The Bridge of Sighs, Lumi said, stopping at the edge. It remembers every traveler who crossed it. Hear them? I listened. Faint whispers rose from the ice, voices murmuring regrets, hopes, forgotten names. A cold tear slipped down my cheek. It's sad. The bridge holds sorrow, Lumi agreed. But it also holds courage. To cross it, you must answer its question. What do you carry that is heavier than snow? I thought of Mama's worry when I had a fever, of Papa's tired eyes after a long workday. I thought of the memory ID given the sky singer, the taste of my lumpy, burnt cookie. I carry love, I whispered. It's heavy sometimes. But it's warm. The sighing softened. The bridge steadied. A path of light formed on its surface. Go, Lumi urged. I'll follow. Halfway across, the wind rose. It didn't howl, it sang. A low, mournful tune that tugged at my bones. The mist thickened, forming 3 tall figures. Their bodies were woven from storm clouds and freezing rain, their hair streamed like torn banners. One held a staff of twisted ice, another, a net woven from frost and shadow. The third floated above the chasm, its face a shifting mask of wind and dark. The wind weavers, Lumi growled, stepping beside me. "You trespass," the floating weaver boomed. Its voice shook the bridge. "The mountain is ours. The sky singer's song is for winter's wild heart, not for mending broken palaces." I stepped forward, my knees trembling. "We don't want to steal the song. We need a feather to save the frost heart. Without it, winter will vanish. Your storms will have no home." The weaver with the net sneered. "Why should we care for stone and ice? We are the breath of the world. We dance on the edge of forever." "But if winter fades," I said softly, clutching Thistle's memory stone, "the mountains will melt. Your home will be gone. Where will you dance then?" Silence. The wind stilled for a single heartbeat. The floating weaver drifted closer. Its face swirled like smoke. "Clever child. But knowledge has a price. Answer our riddle, and we'll let you pass. Fail, and you'll become another frost statue on our peaks, frozen mid-step, forgotten by time." Lumi pressed against my leg. "They respect courage," it whispered. "But their riddles twist like mountain paths." The floating weaver's voice turned melodic, weaving words into the air. "I am born in darkness, yet I flee from night. Am kissed by the sun, but I vanish in light. I dance on the edges, a fleeting delight. What am I?" My mind spun. Born in darkness, flee from night? That didn't make sense. I closed my eyes, thinking of home. Of Mama hanging laundry on a winter morning, the sheets stiff with frost. Of the way icicles dripped from the roof when the sun rose, turning to diamonds before melting away. Of waking to a world painted white, silent and still. "Frost," I whispered. "You're talking about frost." The weavers froze, truly froze, for a moment. Ice crackled across their forms. Then the floating one laughed, a sound like cracking glaciers. "Correct. Go, then. But know this. The sky singer's feather comes at a cost. All true gifts do. The wind remembers every debt. Their forms dissolved into mist, leaving only the echo of wind and the sighing bridge beneath our feet." Lumi nudged my hand. "You did well. But remember their warning. Magic always asks something in return. Not a price, a piece." Chapter 6. The sky singer's nest. The higher we climbed, the thinner the air became. My lungs burned, but luminous warmth against my side kept me moving. Near the summit, the rocks gave way to a nest woven from moonbeams and frozen starlight. It cradled a bird larger than any eagle. Its feathers shifted colors, indigo at the wingtips, fading to dawn pink at its breast, shimmering gold around its eyes. Those eyes held swirling galaxies, deep and ancient. The sky singer tilted its head. "Little flame," it crooned, its voice like wind through crystal chimes. "You seek a feather to mend what is broken. But every plucked feather leaves a wound. What will you give in return?" I hadn't thought this far. I don't have anything the snow wild needs. "Everyone has something," the singer said gently. Its wings rustled, sending sparks of light dancing. "A memory. A dream. A secret laugh. What small, bright thing are you willing to release?" Lumi nudged my hand. "Give it a memory. Not your dearest one. A small, warm thing." I thought of the cookie I baked with Mama last week, lumpy and burnt at the edges. Shed laughed and called it a snowman's pancake, eating it with extra milk to hide the taste. The warmth of that moment filled my chest, the flower on Mama's nose, the way Shed winked when Papa pretended to gag. "I'll give you the taste of that cookie," I said. The messy, happy taste. The singer's beak parted in what might have been a smile. A humble gift. Accepted. It turned, presenting its wing. With a soft shink, it plucked a single feather from its primary flight feathers. The moment it left its body, the feather turned pure white and drifted into my palm. It glowed warmly, humming with a low, comforting song. The singer's voice grew faint. "Remember, child. Even broken things can shine again. Hold this truth close." As we descended, Lumi asked, "Do you miss the memory?" I did. The taste of chocolate chips and flour, Mama's flour-dusted nose, the sound of her laughter. But the feather glowed warmly in my hand, its song a soft vibration against my skin. "It's worth it," I said. For winter. Chapter 7. The waterfall that flows upward leaving Glass Peak felt like stepping out of a dream. The feather pulsed in my pocket, a steady heartbeat of warmth. But the journey ahead was long. Elder Glacia's book glowed faintly in my satchel, its pages turning slowly as if searching for our next path. "We go east now," Lumi said, leading me down a narrow goat track. To the upward waterfall. The stone guardian dwells behind it. Upward? I puffed, scrambling over a boulder crusted with ice. "How can water flow up?" "The snow wild bends rules," Lumi replied. "Just as time bends, and paths appear where none were. Trust the water. It remembers the sky." We descended into a valley where the air smelled of wet stone and pine. Distant thunder rumbled, but the sky was clear. As we rounded a cliff face, I saw it. A waterfall that defied the sky. Instead of falling, the water rose from a pool at the base, flowing upward in a shimmering curtain to vanish into the clouds. Rainbows danced in its mist. "It's beautiful," I breathed. "And dangerous," Lumi warned. "The current is strong. Only those with pure purpose can walk behind it. Hold the feather close. Its song will steady you." At the pool's edge, statues lined the shore, warriors mid-swing, children reaching for butterflies, animals frozen in flight. Their faces were calm, their stone skin smooth as river rocks. "Who are they?" I whispered. "Travelers," Lumi said softly. They traded their stories for a moment of courage. The guardian asks each one, "What are you willing to feel?" I touched a statue of a girl holding a lantern. Her stone fingers were delicate, her expression peaceful. "Did they choose wrong?" "No," Lumi said. "They chose deeply. The guardian takes only what you offer freely." Some gave memories of sorrow to protect others. Some gave joy to ease a friend's pain. All are honored here. I tightened my grip on the feather. Its song grew louder, weaving through the roar of the upward water. "I'm ready." Lumi led me into the pool. The water was shockingly warm, like bathwater. It rose to my waist, then my chest. The roar filled my ears. I closed my eyes, clutching the feather. Its song became a thread of light in the noise. Step by step, we walked up the waterfall. Water streamed over my shoulders, not down. It felt like swimming through liquid silk. Behind the curtain, a cave mouth glowed with soft blue light. We stepped onto a dry ledge, dripping. The roar faded to a whisper. Chapter 8. The stone guardians cave inside the cave. The air smelled of wet earth and old stone. Glowworms dotted the ceiling like stars. The walls were carved with faces, some joyful, some weeping, all deeply human. In the center of the cave sat the stone guardian. It wasn't a statue. It was a living mountain given form, a towering figure carved from a single boulder, moss growing in the cracks of its skin. Its eyes were deep pools of liquid shadow, reflecting the glowworms above. "You seek my tear," it rumbled. The sound vibrated in my bones. "Why should stone weep for ice?" Lumi bowed low. "The frost heart fades, guardian. Winter's balance shatters. Your tear holds the sorrow that binds all seasons." The guardian's voice echoed. "Tears are born of sorrow. I have not wept in 1,000 winters. What pain can you show me that I have not already known? I have felt glaciers grind mountains to dust. I have watched forests burn and rivers run dry. Your small sorrows are but raindrops to my ocean. I thought of the frost heart dying, of snowdrops withering before they bloomed. Of a world without sledding or snowmen or hot cocoa after coming in from the cold." My throat tightened. "I can't show you the world's pain," I said softly. "But I can show you a small loss. One that matters." Slowly, I told it about my goldfish, Bubbles. How I'd won him at the summer fair, his scales shimmering orange in the sunlight. How I'd fed him every morning, talking about my day. How one spring morning, I'd found him floating belly up, still as a stone. How I'd buried him under the old apple tree with a tiny stone marker. How I still saved shiny pebbles in my pocket for him, just in case. Silence filled the cave. The glowworms dimmed. Then, a single drop of water fell from the guardian's stony cheek. It landed in a crystal vial Lumi held out. The vial glowed faintly, blue as a winter dawn. "You carry sorrow gently," the guardian said. Its voice was softer now, almost warm. "You do not let it harden your heart. That is true strength. Go. Mend the frost heart. Let winter remember how to weep, and how to heal." As we left the cave, the vial pulsed against my skin like a tiny, frozen heartbeat. Chapter 9. The forest of frozen memories. The path back toward the Snow Queen's palace led us through a strange forest. The trees here were not pine or oak, but twisted columns of clear ice. Inside each trunk, shapes moved, glimpses of faces, hands reaching, fragments of laughter. The air hummed with silent voices. "The forest of frozen memories," Lumi whispered. "Lost moments drift here when humans forget them. Some are happy. Some are sad. Many are just small." A face pressed against the ice of a nearby tree, a woman's face, smiling as she blew dandelion seeds into the wind. Another tree held the sound of a child's giggle, muffled but clear. I touched the ice. It was warm. "Why are they frozen?" I asked. "Because they were forgotten," Lumi said. "But not lost. The snow wild keeps them safe. Sometimes, on quiet nights, they find their way back into dreams." A shadow darted between the trees, a figure made of swirling mist and broken light. It hissed, a sound like cracking glass. "Warm one, give us your name." "Well, keep it safe." Lumi stepped in front of me, fur bristling. "A shadow. It feeds on forgotten things. Remember the rules. Never speak your full name." The shadow drifted closer, its form shifting like smoke. What's in a name, little flame? Just a word. Give it, and we'll show you a memory you've lost. Your first snowfall. The taste of your grandmother's pie. I clutched Thistle's memory stone. It glowed warmly in my palm. I am the child of warmth, I said firmly. I remember home. The shadow shrieked, recoiling. Home? Home is dust and silence. The frost heart dies. Winter ends. Your memories will freeze here forever. It lunged, its misty fingers stretching toward my face. Lumi snarled, leaping between us. Its star pendant blazed with blue light. Begone, shadow. This one carries the sky singer's song and the guardian's tear. She is under the queen's protection. The shadow dissolved with a hiss, leaving only a chill in the air. Lumi pressed against my leg, trembling. You were brave. I was scared. Brave is being scared and remembering home anyway, Lumi said. It led me deeper into the forest, where the ice trees glowed softly. Look! It stopped before a small tree. Inside, I saw a memory. Mama tucking me into bed, singing a lullaby off-key, her hair smelling of lavender soap. Tears filled my eyes. Do you think Mama's dreaming of me now? I asked. Luma's tail brushed my hand. She dreams of you always. Like the snow dreams of the sky. Like winter dreams of spring. That is the balance. We walked on, the frozen memories glowing like lanterns in the twilight. Chapter 10. The crumbling palace, the Snow Queen's palace, rose before us, a cathedral of ice, taller than mountains, glittering with captured starlight. But cracks spiderwebbed across its walls, leaking cold mist. Towers leaned like broken teeth. The great gates hung crooked on their hinges. Inside, the light was dim. Eldest servants moved slowly, their forms flickering like dying candles. A rabbit made of snow swept the halls, but its broom passed through the floor as if it were mist. The frost heart weakens, it whispered, its voice thin as frost. We fade with it. Lumi led me through echoing halls. Ice sculptures of deer and owls stood guard, but their edges were melting, their features softening like forgotten dreams. Water dripped from the ceiling, each drop chiming a sad note. At the heart of the palace, on a throne of fractured ice, sat the Snow Queen. Her gown, once blinding silver, was dull gray. Her crown of icicles drooped. Her face was pale as moonlight on snow, her eyes deep with sorrow. You came, she said, her voice like wind through bare branches. But the frost heart, she gestured to a pedestal where a massive crystal should have blazed. Only a shard remained, dim and cracked, pulsing faintly like a dying star. Lumi laid the feather and vial on the steps of the throne. We have the Sky Singer's gift and the Stone Guardian's tear. And the Child of Warmth carries the third piece. The Queen's gaze met mine. A memory of warmth. Not just any memory. One that reminds the frost heart why it endures. Why winter protects the world, even when the world forgets it. I closed my eyes. Not the cookie memory. Something deeper. The night Mama stayed up with me when I had a fever, singing silly songs about dancing penguins until dawn. The way her hand felt on my forehead, cool and sure. The sound of Papa's boots crunching on snow as he shoveled the driveway at dawn, whistling off-key to keep himself warm. The smell of Grandma's attic, full of quilts and stories, the dust motes dancing in sunbeams. The weight of our old dog, Bear, sleeping at the foot of my bed, his breath a steady rhythm in the dark. I poured it all into my heart until it overflowed, a golden light spilling from my chest. Glacia's hands, when had Glacia arrived, hovered over my heart, and the light rose like a tiny, pulsing sun. Perfect, Glacia breathed. This is the heart of winter. Not just cold and silence, but the warmth it guards. Chapter 11. The Frost Heart's renewal. The queen rose, her gown shimmering with renewed strength. She took the feather, the vial, and the golden light. The renewal must be sung, she said. All who love winter must lend their voices. She stepped onto the balcony overlooking the palace courtyard. Below, snow rabbits gathered. Wind weavers drifted on the breeze, their storm cloud forms softening. Even the shadow from the memory forest hovered at the edge, its form steady, no longer shifting. The dreaming trees lined the square, their bark glowing. The stone guardian stood like a mountain in the corner, moss bright green. The sky singer perched atop a tower, its feathers blazing with dawn colors. The queen raised her hands. Her voice rose, clear and strong. Frost Heart, cold and bright and old, mend your cracks, your story told. Feather from the sky's high song, tear where ancient sorrows belong. Memory of hearth fire's gentle gleam, awake, and light this frozen dream. One by one, the others joined in. The rabbits chattered like falling pebbles. The weavers hummed a low, rumbling wind song. The dreaming trees sighed with the voices of 1,000 winters. Even the shadow whispered, a soft, broken sound. I sang too, my voice small but steady, pouring every warm memory I owned into the song. The shard on the pedestal blazed. Light shot through the cracks in the palace walls, sealing them with threads of silver. Towers straightened. Ice sculptures regained their sharp edges. The dripping water turned to chiming ice. The Frost Heart grew, a massive crystal pulsing with blue-white light, casting rainbows across the snow. The queen's gown blazed silver again. Her crown stood tall. Thank you, she whispered to me. Winter will live on. Not just as cold and silence, but as protector of warmth. Remember this. Every snowflake holds a memory. Every winter holds a promise. Chapter 12. The return and the first light. Lumi led me back through the pond of starlight as dawn painted the sky peach and lavender. The water stairs gleamed like liquid pearl. You'll forget some of this, Lumi said gently. Mortals always do. The snow wild fades from waking minds. But look. It placed a snowflake-shaped pendant in my hand. It was cool and real, glowing faintly. When winter comes, hold this. You'll remember the song. I stepped onto the final stair. The library of ice shimmered behind me. Will I see you again? Luminous eyes held starlight. Whenever snow falls, I am there. Listen for the chime in the flakes. That is my voice. It nuzzled my hand one last time. Go home, child of warmth. Your mama waits. I woke in my bed. Sunlight streamed through the window, painting warm stripes on the quilt. I was tucked in tight, just as Mama always did. Snow fell softly outside, blanketing the world in white. On my pillow lay the snowflake pendant, cool against my skin. Mama knocked on my door. Wake up, sweet pea. The world's new again. Let's build a snowman. As I dressed, I pressed the pendant to my heart. Somewhere, beyond the frosted glass, a fox with starry fur watched from the tree lean. Somewhere, snowflakes still sang. And winter lived on. Epilogue. The first snow years later, when I tuck my own child into bed, I tell them of the night of whispers. They never fully believe me, until the first snowfall. Then, as we stand on the porch watching the flakes dance, their small hand in mine, I see it. A flicker of starlight in their eyes. A memory not yet lived, but waiting. The snow whispers on. But the story doesn't end there. Let me tell you of the winters that followed. The next year, on the first snowfall, I held the pendant. Instantly, I remembered Lumi's voice, the chime of the snowflakes, the warmth of the feather in my palm. I built a snowman in our yard, shaping its face with care. As I placed the final snowball for its head, a fox darted through the trees at the edge of the woods. Its fur shimmered under the streetlight, and around its neck, a tiny star glowed blue. It paused, looked right at me, and bowed its head once before melting into the shadows. My snowman's smile seemed brighter that year. When I was 10, a harsh winter froze the rivers solid. News came of families stranded in remote cabins, their supplies running low. I remembered the stone guardian's words. True strength is carrying sorrow gently. I organized a toy drive at school, filling boxes with warm mittens and storybooks. As we loaded the last box into a truck bound for the mountains, snowflakes began to fall, large, slow flakes that chimed softly as they landed on the truck's roof. Ting ting ting. The driver smiled. Good omen, he said. Winter's blessing. I touched the pendant in my pocket. It was warm. At 16, I sat on my bedroom floor, heartbroken after my first love ended. Outside, a blizzard raged. I held the pendant tight, tears freezing on my cheeks. The snow muffled the world, wrapping me in quiet. And in that silence, I remembered the frost heart's renewal, the way broken things can shine again. I didn't hear Lumi's voice, but I felt its presence. A calm certainty that hurt is not forever. The next morning, the storm had passed. Sunlight glittered on the snow, turning the world into a field of diamonds. I shoveled the driveway, and as I worked, I hummed the song from the palace balcony. The snowflakes chimed along. Now, as I tell this story to my daughter, Lily, she yawns, her eyes heavy. Outside her window, the first snow of the season begins to fall. I place a small, snowflake-shaped pendant around her neck, a new one, carved from moonstone by an old friend who knows the old ways. Will I see the Starlit Fox? She murmurs, her voice thick with sleep. If you listen, I whisper, tucking the quilt under her chin. Listen for the chime in the snow. I turn off her lamp, leaving only the blue glow from the falling snow. As I reach the door, I glance back. Lily's fingers clutch the pendant. Her eyes are closed, but a smile plays on her lips. And on the windowsill, a single snowflake glows faintly blue before melting into a drop of water that catches the moonlight like a tiny star. The snow whispers on. The world dreams on. Winter lives on.